So lots going on across much of southern and central Leon County, I-10 and south, where we watch this cell get stronger and stronger gradually as it worked across parts of Liberty County and southern Gadsden County. And right when it got to about Fort Braden is when it really reached what it looked like that peak. And that's why the reports of tornadoes over near TCC and near the airport and near FAMU and continuing to work across Southwood and more parts on a line like that through southern parts of Leon County heading towards the Jefferson County line. North of there, all the warnings that we had earlier, and we had a bunch earlier of some dangerous thunderstorms where we could have some strong wind gusts, those have calmed down. And that's good news as the air stabilizes. You get that rain coming down into that warm, humid, unstable air, and it has a cooling effect. And what that cooling effect will do is actually stabilize the air and make it more difficult for these thunderstorms to sustain themselves. What happened, especially in parts of Leon County, and still could happen in parts of Jefferson County, is that we hadn't had the rain yet. So we had the heating. We had the added instability. It's just like adding fuel to a fireplace. It's just going to all of a sudden continue to bubble up and get stronger. And when that line of showers gets there and that trigger mechanism hits that very unstable air, that's when you get the explosive thunderstorms. And that's what happened around Fort Braden and those southern parts of Leon County, and can still happen in parts of central and southern Jefferson County. So that's why areas near Wassissa, near the Leon-Jefferson County line, out Mahan Drive, south of Monticello, need to be on high alert right now because there's still the potential for this to refire up. Now, the more rain that comes down, hopefully it will continue to stabilize the air a little bit and weaken the potential for the explosive thunderstorms. But for a little while longer, we certainly have to continue monitoring over here. It's good to see that the rain falling in South Georgia from Cairo to Thomasville to Quitman to Valdosta is just now some rain with a little bit of wind. No big deal. But as you're looking at what's been going on across parts of central and southern Leon County, especially I-10 and south, that has been some dangerous weather, and that's what's been moving across, and it's going to continue moving at least for a little while longer. All right, what else do we have? Any new information, guys?
Looks like National Weather Service put out a storm report, 11:43 a.m. Tornado confirmed at Tallahassee International Airport. Damage report, this is from law enforcement.
Yeah, so we had law enforcement confirmation of a tornado in southern Leon County near the airport. We've had some damage reports around Southwood. I'm still not getting an awful lot here on this one, but I got the wrong radar pulled up.
Yeah, that's all data. It looks like the radar hasn't updated probably the last 15 minutes from Tallahassee.
If we go back to Max 2, I've got the other radar Hannah put up for me here, and I can see enough where there may still likely be some rotation, especially now coming along like almost to the Leon-Jefferson County line, a few miles south of Chairs and Chairs Crossroads, over there towards like the Buck Lake area. So that's probably where we're watching the cell right now, and that means areas out Mahan Drive, out Highway 27, get over towards Caps, south of Lloyd, approaching Lamont. These are going to be the areas that in the next 10 minutes or so are going to have the worst of the weather. If I stay just on the radar with all the radar sites pulled up, and I zoom in a little bit here, we can see a couple of different things. First, that they keep slimming down that polygon for where the danger was in Leon County. Now, that's important because that means areas where the storm already was moving away. That's one. But two, you can also see, if we go back to the Max 1 and come back to me here on camera, what I'm able to point out is where those more significant rains, where the lightning is popping up, it's really up against that line right there, the county line. So Leon County has already had the worst of it and might be getting to the end of it for the time being. There are still more showers out to the west, and flash flooding is going to be one of our concerns where all that heavy rain came down. That water's got to go someplace, and the ground can't soak it all up that quickly. But where that individual cell is, moving to the east at 40 miles per hour, almost right out Highway 27, is going to be a spot where the potential for that dangerous thunderstorm will continue to be. So that's where there's potential rotation still. And as it moves a little bit more east, maybe we'll be able to get the Tallahassee radar back online. We'll have a better chance of seeing what's going on a couple of the other radar products that we use. North of I-10, Gadsden County, Leon County, even Jefferson County, where the cell is moving, north of I-10 looks to be not in the path of this storm. Just going to get some rain, and maybe some heavy rain at times. But it's really going to be I-10 and south, Highway 27 into Jefferson County, and eventually maybe even into Taylor County. One of the things that's encouraging to see is that there's more rain filling in and spreading into more spots east. That rain will have that stabilizing effect, and that'll cool the air a little bit and make it more difficult for the thunderstorm itself to continue what it's been doing. Does that mean there won't be dangerous weather there? No. And remember, it doesn't have to be a tornado for there to be dangerous weather. Strong wind gusts can cause almost as many problems as a tornado can. It can knock down power lines. It can knock out windows. It can throw debris around. So that is going to be something we have to monitor for the next little while as well. Here's what we're looking at on the radar. You can certainly see the showers that extend back to the west. Have we had any other reports, power outages or anything like that, guys, recently?
Not seen anything just yet.
All right.
No.
Nothing.
See anything, Hannah? Okay.
So I haven't seen any. I haven't seen. Doesn't mean there wasn't any. It just means I haven't heard or seen about any power outages anywhere. One would have to assume, although we hate to do that, that there's got to be some power issues when you have weather of this nature moving through a big area like it has. And we have to go till, we said, what, 12:15 is when they're set to expire, a little bit more. 12:30 now, so they extended the, and that's going to be the warning that extends into parts of southern Jefferson County, so south of I-10. So especially out Highway 27, when you leave Leon County into Jefferson County, that's going to be the area we're most concerned with moving forward. Now, we've got a velocity product up here Hannah's playing with, and she's got that coming from the Valdosta radar. So it's going to be a little far away, but I do see some greens and some reds up against each other, right, just south of Chairs, getting to the county line. And I see some of those brighter greens a little further to the south. And I bet if you do the query and you check the gate to gate, we'll have a good pretty idea of numbers probably up over 30. Yeah. Okay, so when we're getting numbers like that, that indicates that indeed there's probably still some sort of rotation in that individual cell that's moving to the east at about 40 miles per hour. All right, James, you're talking to me. What you got, man? Capital Circle Southeast, more than 300 customers without power. That's what we have so far. I'm certain that number is going to grow as we move through the next half hour or so when you got this kind of wind and rain coming down. We have any more information for me? Nothing now? All right, no problem. Let's go back and talk about what's going on in the radar picture here. And let's recap things you should do if you're in a situation where the dangerous thunderstorm or the possible rotating thunderstorm is. If you're in that area, what you're going to want to do is make sure you're away from exterior windows and walls. It doesn't make sense like, oh, I'm in a structure, Rob, I got to be safe. But those walls are not as thick as you think, and that's where you could have a tree falling through or debris flying. That's when you could have trouble. So you want to make sure you get to the safe spot. Mobile homes. Mobile homes, it's better than being out in the open, but you'd like to find that mobile home shelter. If you are driving, if you are in the car, you want to pull over, find a restaurant, find a structure, find some place to get into, find a Walmart, get in there, and that way you're not out in the elements. That's what you want to make sure you do. You want to make sure you are indoors at all times. That is the most safe thing. What do we got? The airport's closed for damage. All right, that makes perfect sense. If we expected that the tornado, that when we had the confirmed that it was at least spotted or seen or down, we saw from TCC past the airport towards FAMU. And so if you're looking at that line, Tennessee Street, right, that's all those locations right there. All the campuses, the city, the airport, all of it. So those are going to be all the places that are probably going to have sustained some damage, plus are going to be getting a whole lot of water coming down. And that's why flash flooding is going to be one of our concerns. When so much rain comes down in a short period of time, especially on the asphalt, especially on the clay that's around here, there's no place for it to go. And that means it's going to pile up on the roadways. The next hour or so, city of Tallahassee, parts of central and southern Jefferson County, just don't go out if you don't have to. Let the crews get out there to do what they're going to do to clean things up. Now, there's still a bunch of rain in South Georgia, but nowhere near as dangerous as it was earlier when the first round of warnings was up there. We had severe thunderstorm warnings in South Georgia for a while, thanks to some of those strong wind gusts, and there was an earlier tornado warning that was moving into parts of Decatur County and Seminole County that fizzled out quickly because it ran into that more stable air. Hopefully what will be happening here soon is that this current cell that caused the damage, that had the rotation, that moved across southern Leon County, hopefully it will start running into that more stable air and continue to weaken as it moves east. And if that indeed is the case, then what should happen is we should be able to slowly start calming some of these severe warnings down. But for the time being, and that's going to go until 12:15, we still have the severe warning and the tornado warning for parts of easternmost Leon County and Jefferson County, Highway 27 up to I-10. That seems to be the area that has been the most right now in the crosshairs of this individual cell, moving to the east at 40. So if you're in areas from south of Baum, south of Monticello, around Lamont, any of these areas, these are going to be the spots that you want to make sure you're finding those shelters now. Further to the west, the weather's calming down. Doesn't mean it's going to immediately, like flipping a light switch, clear right up. It's not. There's still rain coming down, and there's still danger out there. Plus, you're going to have all that water piled up on the roadways. You got to be careful with downed power lines. That can cause all kinds of problems. Flooding can be just as big a problem as the wind gusts or even the tornado can be. So lots of issues for the next little while with this very dangerous weather situation that has been going on for quite a while now. And it will continue moving to the east at about 40 miles per hour. As that happens, we'll continue to bring you updates. All right, I got more power outages to go over. What do we have? All right, so South Monroe area, about a dozen neighborhoods reporting power outages in those areas right now. So what that's telling us is that the damage not only is for real, but is going to be a little bit more long-lasting in many spots. What do you got, Charles?
It's hard to tell because we're pulling from the Valdosta radar. Of course, usually the farther away from the radar site you go, the beam's too high. So what's going to happen is you're kind of scanning really high up in the air. Now we're looking at, you don't see it on our screens right now, but we're looking at what we talked about earlier, something called the correlation coefficient, which basically tells us whether
stuff
something
flying around.
Exactly, whether it's stuff flying around or whether it's rainfall or hail or something else. And from that, on the southeastern part of Leon County, it kind of has a hint, maybe the potential of some debris still aloft.
Yeah.
It looks a little bit misplaced from the rotation, but then again, the farther away from the radar site, it's a bit harder to tell.
Yeah, remember, the Earth is curved, right? So if you're thinking about those radar towers that you see, you look up there, and 50 feet up, 150 feet up, that's where the tower is. It's sending out a pulse of light. That's how the radars work. That pulse of light flies out until it hits something. Fancy words like hydrometeors and all that good stuff that weather people use. What it basically happens is light flies out from the radar, hits something, turns around, goes back to the radar. Now that radar, it's got high-tech computers hooked up to it that can figure out what it is that light hit, where it was when that light hit, which way that stuff was moving when the light hit it. And those computers help us figure out what exactly that we're looking at. Now, one of the problems is when you're taking a beam from Valdosta to Tallahassee, we know it's not that far away, but the way the Earth is curved, that beam just keeps going up and up and up and up. And that means you're not going to be getting the full spectrum of what's going on in that area. What you got, Charles?
Quick update from the Weather Service office. Techs are en route to assess the radar. So again, we haven't been pulling data for the last maybe 20 minutes or so.
Well, there's nothing they're going to be able to do with lightning in the area. They can't climb a tower to check on it now. So the Tallahassee radar is going to be worthless for a while. So we're going to be stuck using only the Valdosta radar information, which is okay. It's good enough. It's not like it's that far away. And these radars that we have these days are so incredible and so helpful. So we're going to be able to have plenty of information and data for you. And really, the longevity of what we've been talking about here for the past, 30 or 45 minutes, it's got to tell me that at some point things are going to continue weakening because that air is getting more and more stable. If this is anything like the activity we saw in parts of South Georgia earlier this morning, it fired up. It found that more stable air and things calmed down. That should continue to happen as it moves into more of Jefferson County. But we still have those warnings into Jefferson County from I-10 across Highway 27 down to central southern Jefferson County, north of Highway 98. Not quite that far south because the cell itself is north of there. But we'll continue to watch this as the cell itself leaves Leon County. And it really looks like any of the rotation would be in the Jefferson County now. It'd be out of Leon County. Yeah, definitely kind of a wide-scale circulation. It's not a real tightly wrapped one. And when you have that, it also kind of indicates that there could be at least some weakening going on. So there are definitely some things leaning in our favor to maybe indicate that things are calming down. But one of the things we have to watch, until that warning goes away, the potential for dangerous is still there. And that potential is going to continue at least until 12:15, if not longer than that. I think it would be longer than that. So areas into Jefferson County, now along Highway 827, south of I-10, these are going to be the spots that we're going to be most concerned with right now. Further west, into parts of Leon County, especially north of I-10, things are quieting down, but I still see a whole bunch of rain that extends back out towards Fort Braden, where all of these warnings began about 30 minutes ago. Now, the cell itself is moving fairly quickly across our area from west to east. Last fix we had from the National Weather Service was moving about 40 miles per hour, almost due east. And if that continues, it should be in through central parts of Jefferson County in the next little while. So it's not a really wide part of Jefferson County that it's going, but it's certainly